It is a little surprising, isn't it, that Elevate kind of bring out the weird Camazot's mid lane pick there, which I think we've seen a little bit before. I believe Baskin it was who played it earlier, but maybe this is so they don't show their hand a little bit too much to some of the other teams later on. If they feel confident they can take this set, that might be what the idea is.
That's a lot of confidence.
It is a lot, isn't it? Yeah.
It's a best of 3. Now, you do have a second chance, though, so no matter who loses this best of 3 set, still going to go to the lower bracket to try to battle their way through tomorrow.
And totally, for me, this game, it really felt like once they managed to slow down Auzrik is when Elevate started to win the game. Yes, that big play around the 15-minute mark where they give the gold for all those kills, that hurt them a lot. But Auzrik started the game off like 3-0-2. He was a part of every kill. He was all over the map. As soon as they slowed down Auzrik is when Elevate slowed down all of Fable.
That's when the Odin started to really make its appearance shine. That's why Elevate drafted it so early. As soon as the Nemesis was drafted, boom. Right away, they wanted to be able to shut her down, force out some phantoms, make it more tricky for Auzrik to really make an impact in that game.
Well, we got the MVP results in. I don't know how often we get this, but it sounds like it's actually a tie between Mr. White and DoctorL. So Mixer Chat maybe not able to entirely make up their mind, but I get it. I mean, Mr. White was great for them. He was the one that was providing really all the damage on this Soul pick, but it was DoctorL on the Dodgy who was sort of countering the aggression from Fable. So I sort of get why you felt like maybe give it to both.
The reason why I think Elevate drafts this composition of such aggressive frontliners is to allow Mr. White to do so much magical damage on the Soul. Considering Silence don't usually make an impact in that mid lane until 15 minutes or so, you're normally building the physical defense early, trying to survive against DoctorL, but that's where Mr. White really shined once he started rotating for some of those team fights.
And they had such a hard time tracking him down in the back of the fights because they were relying so much, I feel like, on the damage from Auzrik on the Nemesis in those team fights. So unless you were the primary target from Auzrik, you were probably going to be able to free cast the whole fight, or at least it felt that way. So as long as Mr. White wasn't under too much pressure, he was able to do a ton of damage and help Elevate get that first game win.
A very important point that you mentioned was the pressure aspect behind it. We saw the early gank here from the Terra support, specifically IAmTheHamster, assisting out Mr. White on the Soul. It was around the 24.5-minute mark where it was a 2v1 on top of Davey for so long. He was just boxing. Meanwhile, on the flip side, Fable had a 4-on-3 in middle, which they couldn't capitalize on at all. They forced out even a Phantom against Fable that was playing defensively, and that allowed Elevate to get the Fire Giant and start closing out the game.
I gotta wonder if they just didn't have, like you said, enough pressure, or maybe enough spread out damage. You know, I felt like maybe they're a little bit too reliant on Auzrik. But they played to the strat they said, right? They wanted to have solo jungle pressure. It was Auzrik got out to a good start. I believe Chronic was out in front on top of Nexamiss for a while, XP-wise as well, but it just wasn't as valuable as the duo side pressure that Elevate had.
Well, there's going to be the second ban from Fable. They don't really want to deal with that shenanigans. But now that they have the first pick, I'm curious the direction that they want to go. You can't pick the Kukulkan and the Nemesis the same way they did in the last game, and Elevate really prioritizing the Terra, not going to allow that one to go through.
And that's a good idea. I mean, Terra was able to be selected for Hamster, so why not take that one away if they can't get it for themselves this time? But Kukulkan, yet again, going to come out for Chronic, so they take that one first. Do Fable, but that leaves up Cerberus and Giannis available for Elevate to take.
Very fast picks as well from Elevate. They really recognize what they want to do. Fable now on the clock, having to decide what is the counter strategy. They had a fantastic Giannis performance out of Waldrom, trying to really make an impact of the aggression from Elevate that's been known to always try to force some issues here and there. But Circuit from Fable, it was left through, so priority pick.
Yet again, I know we're only in the first phase right now here, but I'm loving Fable's draft on paper yet again. And their early game looked great from Fable. I think there just were a couple of team fights where they weren't quite ready to handle the split focus from Elevate, where they pull them over to the Gold Fury and break that team fight up. With this composition, are they going to be able to handle that a little bit better than last time?
It might be the case, depending on where their mid-mage is going to be. The Athena is great setup play every single time. Circuit, drafted early by Fable, was expected by Elevate. That's why the Robin pick was immediately after. The overhead kick, the Mystic Rush, you have the damage mitigation, you also have the immunity frames to get out of dodge. That's going to be the play for DoctorL to get into the thick of things and trying to trade blows with that Poison Goddess.
Now, very likely Robin is going to be in the jungle here for Elevate, going to be handing that one over to DoctorL. Cerberus has been selected I feel like we've been seeing maybe just a little bit less Cerberus than when he was at sort of his peak, where he was being picked like almost every game at the top of the pick ban phase, but certainly still strong with the staging and torment, with the protection shred that he has. So we'll see how well that Elevator are going to be able to use that to sort of set up for the Giannis as well.
Forcing out a lot of beads is the name of the game for Cerberus. Whether or not it's going to be that ultimate or just a slow from the ghastly breath, it's so obnoxious to really handle, especially if you're going to consider building utility base with a Gem of Isolation.
But totally, you nailed it when you said they move through these pick ban phases quite quickly. Do both these teams. They did so in game 1 as well as Discordia Hachiman comes out. But I mean, it feels like they've got priority picks in almost every role, doesn't it? The Serket, the Athena, the Hachiman, Kukulin. I mean, Fable almost could have blind picked this draft, it feels like, but certainly Elevate have a strong draft in their own right as well as they round it out with the Sobek.
I like both of their drafts. It's very difficult to pinpoint where the strengths and weaknesses will overcome in the late game, but the control between Cerberus and Sobek should be really enough to really trump the Kukulin presence in the later stages. So as long as Cerberus doesn't get shut down early, can eventually build into that Void Stone, I think that the Sobek Cerberus will amplify Giannis's damage enough to carry the game.
Yeah, it's a very safe comp that Elevate have here. I agree. It's going to be kind of hard to lock them all down. But do you think Elevate go ahead and 2-0 this one, or can Fable take us to a game 3 here totally?
I think this ends here.
Think this one might end here. Elevate, if they win, they do get that 2-0 and move on. If not, we're going to see y'all for a game 3. But let's go ahead and get it over to the casters.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Well, they predict it's going to be Elevate for the 2-0 here. Fable can play the same way they did at the start. This could be a chance for them to actually snowball this. So Serket is a useful pick.
There are some questions to be had about whether or not this Fable team can stretch it to a game 3. I do think that it's a bit of a steep task here against Elevate, especially now that Elevate are on a little bit more of a traditional composition. This is kind of leaning more towards that playstyle that we saw from them all throughout that qualifying stage.
Well, let's find out how this one goes. Who do you guys at home think will win this one? Make sure you get your vote into chat. Start the game, though. Have a little look at this. A grouping again. We saw this game 1, but game 2, we're going to get a bit of a party in the jungle. A lot of visibilities, but a big old stone onto our Auzrik, and that's going to put some pressure on. But a quick dip out from FableGG. Oh, Killy took his dash. Interestingly enough, you would like the Defender of Olympus for a bit more wave clear, or should I say shield wall, not Defender of Olympus. But quick ward down from Elevate at the red buff. They want to keep an eye on what's going on.
They want to keep an eye on what's going on, but they also need to make sure they don't get picked off in the jungle yet again. Fable in the last match actually started off pretty strong, like we were talking about.
Yeah.
It looked fairly promising from them. If they're able to have a repeat performance, it could go possibly even better, because Auzrik on the Serket, I think, is a little bit more of control against Elevate.
Well, let's find out what happens here. You can see Waldrom and Crimson on the player cams there, the two mid laners up against each other today. Obviously, Discordia versus Giannis too. The question is does one of them go for wave pressure by staying in the wave, or do you look to start the speed and get that bonus experience? ChronicTheBros, he's trying to put some pressure on early to the Sobek by going for a bit of proxy farming. But Nexamiss trying to punish him back for his discretions. Got to be careful about the rage, though. Got to be careful. I don't know why Chronic was running there.
But Chronic's taken so much poke. He's already eaten half
gonna
of his
rage
health.
out.
He is going to transform eventually, but that doesn't mean that DoctorL isn't going to be able to rotate. And ChronicTheBros continues to let himself get poked out so early on. Could pose to be a little bit more problematic.
No, I think he's going to be fine there. The extra pressure means that Nexamiss could possibly going to lose that whole wave. And now, ChronicTheBros is going to try and be an annoyance in the jungle. Won't find the blue buff. Bit surprised that we didn't see DoctorL just turn around and go, "What are you doing, son? I'm going to beat you up." But he did lose a whole wave pretty much there.
Exactly. DoctorL didn't go to farm his Harpies prior to going towards the blue buff because he wanted to ensure that he was able to secure that for Nexamiss. Being a Sobek, Nexamiss probably wouldn't have been able to confirm that buff away from Chronic.
Good autos from Davey. Multiple in a row connecting, talking about damage as well. Auzrik in the mid lane. Then they put some pressure onto Crimson, who's playing the Giannis himself this time, but Killy's in trouble. Gotta be able to dash away just in time.
Just in time, but that doesn't mean that he's safe. DoctorL, level 2 now, has started hovering the dual lane side. Could possibly be looking for some pressure, but instead he's going to spot out Auzrik in the mid lane.
Yeah, he's going to spot him out, and they both know about it. Punch in the back of the head. Gonna let him know that he's around, just making sure DoctorL's keeping them in check as well. DoctorL, formerly a solo laner once upon a time on the console, but now playing in the jungle role. Had a pretty decent career for himself, slowly elevated himself, no pun intended, to the levels of play of getting here in a different role this time.
DoctorL is one of the players who recently has started to rise, I think, in terms of star potential for his team. I think that a lot more console players are really starting to give him some recognition and props for just how much he's developed as a player.
Sure, and in fairness, like he started as a mid to low tier player and then slowly ground his way up to the highest of heights now, making himself here at LAN in a different role. We'll see how his career continues, and this LAN specifically as this one goes on, but playing at Raven, I mean, you're going to have a good time of things anyway. Raven, probably one of the most deadly warriors in the game from the jungle position.
Speaking of which, IAmTheHamster going to get taunted out. He's also going to get stunned and controlled, but Killy takes the first blood away from Davey.
He didn't take it away. That is a kill secure, young lady. That is typical hunter versus support.
Wow. And you know what? You're the support here that keeps taking the kill.
And we'll both spam laugh together because we're happy we got a kill. I need that gold. That's what I would do there. If I was the Athena, I'd take it too. I'm like, listen, I don't trust you, Raven. I'm going to take the gold. I need my boots a bit quicker. Talking about boots, Chronic could do with some right about now, at least a bit upgraded to deal with the aggression from Elevate. But Auzrik over here now with two nice little kisses and the Deathbane too. Chronic's going to be so careful with his health bar. The blue buff still being looked at, but reset. Auzrik with the Deathbane down has to ambush away, and that is pressure relieved. Elevate looking at the blue once more.
Auzrik doesn't want to let this go for free, and neither does Chronic, but Chronic just can't stick around. If he gets plucked, he's dead for sure.
Yeah, it was almost worth just baiting then so he could TP straight back and put some pressure back on. Pressure still on from DoctorL as he was looking for those harpies, but not going to find them this time round. Instead, he did score the way of Auzrik for the time being. Good turn on to IAmTheHamster yet again. Killy and Davey did a good job in the dual lane last time earlier on, but then Mr. White just got out of control as the game continued, and playing the Jing Wei here, well, that means he's going to have crit this time round.
Mr. White just played to his strong suits on the Soul. She's not exactly going to be dominating dual lane, especially since her passive did get nerfed, so that heat not providing as much in-hand damage as you would expect.
Auzrik looking for a play in mid, going to blink over the wall, but Crimson saw it coming. Opened the portal, the apple a day, didn't happen.
Needed that Discordia apple a little bit sooner. Had the cripple been applied, it would have been nice.
Too telegraphed. That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah.
Wait for that. Let the blink and the kiss go off first, then throw the apple out. Don't try and preemptively throw the apple. If you throw that, if you see the wind up of the ultimate, you know something's coming. You know there's going to be danger. And he's like, well, I'm a Giannis. What's the best way to avoid danger? Dip through the wall.
Or even just look for the strife first. Not necessarily dropping the strife on the wave. It seemed as though Waldrom kind of just small misplays. It happens.
There's always those mind games too, though. But the two level 5s and the dual lane putting some pressure on again. The taunt and the Ijutsu used by Davy there. Davy going to take way more damage than bargained for. He's chipped down by that gust from Mr. White. However, wave's coming in, so he's not going to lose too much farm for the time being. Pressure. And the one thing is, there's a Giannis on the enemy team here. Luckily enough, though, Crimson low on mana at the moment, so he can't really look for a rotation.
Mr. White and IAmTheHamster can't really afford to step up, because if they get clipped by that Heavenly Banner, that's going to open up the doorway for Davey to use that mounted archery, and I think it could have easily confirmed the kill onto Mr. White.
I will say at the moment, DoctorL has been on a lot of adventures so far. He's deep in the enemy jungle looking for anything to really spawn. He's looking at the blue buff again. So trying to help out this Sobek to get to that late game powerhouse we used to see in Sobek being with so much control. And make sure he gets those blues and keeps the pressure on the Kukulin, so ChronicTheBros can't really do much. But ChronicTheBros hasn't recognized and known that DoctorL was around here. Now he's in trouble.
ChronicTheBros will get the transformation off just in time, and Killy's going to try to ult on over as well.
Gets in! Good turn as well from Killy! ChronicTheBros going to escape, and can Killy get the kill? 2 kills for the support, and the spam laughs come out. Get wrecked, son.
One thing you can always appreciate about the Defender of Olympus is that damage mitigation. Ooh. Speaking of which, woo,
not enough. Not enough. Poison will tick, but it's not enough to get the kill for him there. Auzrik looked for a play, didn't find it.
I was really concerned that Auzrik was about to jump into a T1 tower.
Me too for a second, but I was like, he's out. He couldn't reach that. That's what I knew when he went into ambush. I'm like, he's not going to be able to reach. It's not going to be a dive.
I think he would have gone for it.
You reckon?
Had he been able to jump over the wall, I think that he would have suicided there.
I'll agree with that. I mean, killing a Giannis is always useful. Getting Sukkot a kill. I mean, Sukkot probably wanted to base anyway, you know? That's how I look at it if you die to a tower. If you dive to the Phoenix, you're like, I wait to, you know, go back and buy anyway, so at least I got a kill with it.
It depends, though, because do you even get the kill?
I think he would have got the kill. poison was still ticking, man.
Might have been close.
Would have been close, but I think it would have been close enough to get the kill, that's for sure. 2-0, though. It didn't happen. The gold lead is just that first blood, really. Athena with 2 kills for herself. Elevate doing a very good job of keeping pace in this game so far, even though FableGG are the ones that have taken the lead at moments of this game so far. The same sort of situation as game 1, in all honesty. FableGG had a very good first 15 minutes, and then it just all went wrong for them. Right inside, Nexamiss getting a little bit too low, though. Those minions are causing him a problem. ChronicTheBros didn't go aggressive there. Very surprised.
Chronic giving a lot of respect towards Nexamiss, I think, because of how often DoctorL has been hovering the solo and invading his blue buff.
I was about to say, is it because of DoctorL, not necessarily Nexamiss, that he was worried about there, just in case he was getting baited into a fight that he could have been punished for? Talking about punishment, we're seeing DoctorL potentially on this right-hand side here. Auzrik and Killy going to steal away the red buff and walk away from it. IAmTheHamster unable to defend there as Davey takes on Mr. White.
Mr. White going to eat a huge chunk of damage right now. Jitsu not going to find the stun because of that.
Athena. And Davey's going to get the kill this time. The horse came through. Oh, Davey's popping off. Look at the lad. He's having a good old time of things. IAmTheHamster not having the greatest time of things. The pooch is in trouble. He met a scorpion. And I'll tell you what, in the real world, that's what can sometimes happen. 4-0. FableGG are flying right now.
Thought that Mr. White was going to get away because of the airstrike, and instead...
It was choice of direction on the airstrike.
It was the choice of direction. It just didn't have any real escape options, and IAmTheHamster kind of just gets stuck in no man's land there because of it.
And this is confidence building for FableGG here. Coming to the tournament expecting to try and put on a show, try and perform better than a lot of people expect. A lot of rookies on this team. New blood, fresh to the league, fresh to coming to LAN. And showing that they can stand with North America, give some respect to Europe finally on the sticks.
Here's the thing though, for a team that's already up 4-0 in terms of kills, I feel like Fable should have a little bit more than just like a 900 gold lead.
Right.
They really haven't benefited anywhere near as much as they probably should have been, and that's just credit to DoctorL for constantly looking for those buff invades in solo, really keeping Elevate in check with Fable.
I completely agree. I think it's more down to they're not losing farm anywhere. Someone is always picking up that farm that could have potentially been lost. For example, duo lane died a couple of times, but they've not really lost much farm to the tower. At the end of the day, it's a level lead for each of them in the duo lane, but that's being made up elsewhere with everybody else farming just as well.
And even with a level lead in duo lane, duo doesn't tend to have the same sort of impact as the mid and jungle.
Davey going to take on Mr. White again. Mr. White missed the gust, but the banner was missed too. However, Davey's got a little bit too confident in himself and not reckons the whole squad was there. The horsey gets hit with a punch in the back of the head from DoctorL, and he'll get credit for the kill. Space and time, no, deletes Auzrik, and now it's going to allow Killy in trouble too. This is the same sort of situation as game 1. FableGG were winning. They got confident, and Elevate went, all right, time to play now.
Davey had no idea what was coming.
Nope.
He only saw Mr. White and the 1v1, and I think that's just a lack of experience.
And now the faces of some of the FableGG members have changed. Waldrom's not looking too happy about this, as he's about to lose the Gold Fury. Will be able to secure his red, though. Telling a lie, stolen away. Waldrom, under pressure from DoctorL, hides in the cloud nicely. Jukes him out, stays alive, but he does lose the red buff.
DoctorL, fortunately enough for Waldrom, doesn't have that ultimate any longer for the Robin, so the dive that would have most likely occurred already took place against Davey, and I mean it just goes one by one. I mean, it's kind of a similar story to what we saw happening a lot in game 1 actually, where Fable seemed as though they were in control and then they just get picked apart.
Notice the difference though with what FableGG did. They were up 4 kills at this time, 4 kills moments ago. But when Elevate find a win, they find a victory, they go and get an objective. They find something even bigger. Now they've actually got a substantial lead. Some of the FableGG haven't had. By substantial, I mean 1,000, 2,000 gold is something when you've been that far behind.
Well, Auzrik at least going to be able to find Elevate's purple buff. Not sure that Mr. White really cares too much about that, though. Able to stay safe himself, and now that he's got the boots online for the Jingwei, he's probably not going to be looking too much for the 1v1 boxing matchup. I think that Davey's just a little bit more favored there because of the fact that he's on the Hachiman, and that Heavenly Banner attack speed steroid means that he won't have to get knocked up first in order to benefit from it. And so I think that Mr. White should just stick to the farming game, look for the rotations. Another huge factor that hasn't really come into play yet for Elevate even is Nexamiss.
Taunt from Killy on IAmTheHamster, who's not had the easiest times of things. He's going to get his ultimate off, but he's still going to fall down to Waldrom. Crimson went off to the right to get a space and timeout, and the turnaround could be here. Big rotation from Nexamiss, but everybody on FableGG going to escape. Good work from them, getting away from the danger. Beautiful play, but why is Auzrik going back in?
Think that Auzrik didn't recognize that DoctorL was close by. He's going to look for his back ruppies instead, and that's going to prompt DoctorL to just ult straight in.
And that's just allowing a little bit more pressure in the mid lane once more. ChronicTheBros has made the rotation from solo to answer that of Nexamiss. But the red buff has spawned. DoctorL looking to get it, but I think that was saved by Waldrom in the mid lane, luckily enough.
Not this time. Davey, though, needs to be careful. He knows that Elevate is hovering around duo. He doesn't really need to overextend here, as tempting as it might be to go on to Mr. White.
I think, if anything, you just want to waste some time a little bit, knowing that DoctorL was stepped on a ward in the jungle there. So, unfortunate that he's going to base, so he can't waste too much time. Blue buff secured for ChronicTheBros, now level 12. Alongside that of Nexamiss, both the solo laners need to get their relics online. And we'll find out where the secondary relics are going to go here. Is there any surprises we could expect to see? Maybe just standard for the most part?
Mostly standard. I don't think that Thorns will really be a priority pickup here. Maybe another sprint or even shells to come online.
Well, ChronicTheBros trying to do a bit of proxy farming. He's under pressure. He's got a two-man coming in from FableGG to support him, though. But he may already fall down. Killy is here. Auzrik's going to jump over the wall at any moment. Oh, no, he's not. He's going to look to steal the blue. He's left Killy all on his own. Killy needs some help soon. He can't get away. He's going to have to take some tower shots. Luckily enough, the minion wave, though, was there to save the day. The bait could be on, but IAmTheHamster and Crimson saw them around the corner. No one spotted Auzrik, but Auzrik just missed a death bait, and Killy's going to go down. The apple comes out to slow them down, but they lose 2 kills on the left-hand side for a blue buff. Elevate, win again.
And Auzrik still has that last spread. Didn't even have an ideal candidate to go on. And I think that was just FableGG overextending their welcome. They looked for the proxy farm. They got the blue buff invade. You just disengage off of that. You accept the fact that Chronic is going to end up dying there. There's really no need for Killy to go as deep as he did.
FableGG really have got the early game down well. They've got it down well. They've shown it 2 games in a row now. The problem is that mid-game ticks, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, what do we do now? We're kind of confused. Like, we're not in the early game anymore. How do we continue to win this? Instead, they've allowed Elevate to get control of the mid-game.
It's the team fights and playing against some of this North American aggression. I think that one big thing that NA has over EU is that NA will just run at you. They don't care. If they want to look for a fight, they're going to find one and make it happen.
And now Mr. White with a bit of confidence of his own in this duel lane. It was Davey earlier on going aggressive against Mr. White. And he's going to go aggressive again because he's got Athena coming. But there's a ward there, so Mr. White should know what's up. Going to eat the banner. Oh, he didn't land on the gust. He's going to have to use his beads and his airstrike. But his airstrike was aggressive. Luckily enough, though, DoctorL turns this one around. And Killy's going to go down before he can ult her way back to Davey in safety. A failed gank attempt from FableGG is counter-ganked by Elevate, and Davey under pressure.
They had no idea DoctorL was lurking in the jungle. Davey thought that it was going to be his advantage. He had his support there. It's good reason to assume that you can play a little bit more up front. And Mr. White, it also seemed as though he accidentally airstriked forward, but seemed a little bit more calculated than what you might have originally thought.
Love this call from Elevate. Go for the tier 1 tower and maybe even get the life of Davey. The poison spit is good enough from IAmTheHamster to get a kill. Davey's going to go down for hanging around.
The way that DoctorL chose to just back up there and let his support take that kill.
Trust and safety. That's what the name of the game was. Lots of spamming going on there. Big old space and time from Crimson too. Auzrik has seen 3 members in his face, but they all jump through the portals. ChronicTheBros blinks in though, looking towards DoctorL. Punch to the face, gonna slow him down. ChronicTheBros has a couple of options available to him, but he's not going to find anyone. Left-hand side, it's Killy versus Mr. White. There's action everywhere as Mr. White looking for the tier 2 tower. This is a reminiscent of game 1 again.
It is reminiscent of game 1 and T2. Practically falling as well to the likes of Mr. White. Nexamiss going to be off the mark with that pluck. He's just there to harass Chronic.
He was after the minion. Just remember that. Like, you knew that minion was a danger. He was trying to make sure it was out of the way so Crimson could get more damage.
But did you see the interrupt potential out of Elevate's composition?
Yeah.
Their team fight is pretty strong. They just have so much of a frontlining factor. And even DoctorL, despite building the Crusher and the Warrior tap by having the protection shred from that Void Shield, going to be really important here because Chronic, Auzrik, and Davey, I think, are all very vulnerable as is, I think, against this dive composition. And so Fable, they want to be the initiators, but they just keep getting aggressed on.
Look at this. Pyromancer's going to go to Elevate, but look where FableGG are. They're trying to burst down the Gold Fury. Wasn't many members there to begin with, but they should be able to get this. Crimson has no ultimate. Great call from Fable, recognizing that they had an opportunity, took it to get some gold back for themselves. But Elevate, they want to punish them.
They're going to be able to find killing, and punish they will as DoctorL takes out the Athena. That's going to be one pick to start everything off, but a beautiful Strife going to help make sure that the rest of Fable can start to rotate over.
Auzrik going to go in, looking for some kisses. Doesn't really find much. Has a Deathbane away. DoctorL takes the pull the hard way. Nexamiss with a good little bit of zone, and in goes IAmTheHamster, but a lot of ultimates from Elevate already using the front line, specifically lurking in the waters, and the ultimate out from the Cerberus. Pressure relieved, though, for the time being. Back to farming we go.
It is a 4v5, at least for the moment, but Fable probably going to look to reinitiate. Killy is respawning. He has that Defender of Olympus online, and there's no Pyromancer, but thought for a moment that Fable might have tried to look for the fight, considering that a lot of relics were expended during that previous engagement out of Elevate. Elevate really just trying to force a fight. I think that they kind of have to after losing the Gold Fury. But even with that Gold Fury, it's still a 4,000 gold lead in favor of Elevate.
It's funny enough, though, because we spoke a lot about FableGG and how they've had chances in this game so far. Elevate themselves, they need to work on their early game. Like, they can't just rely on their mid-game and teamfight prowess with how they've been doing to keep them going. Eventually, someone's going to punish them hard enough in the early game that it's going to come back to haunt them. They've got to make improvements throughout this tournament.
That also feels a little bit more like Elevate just feeling too comfortable because they assume that their team fight is going to be better.
Sure.
Especially just trusting each other a little bit more because I will agree, though, that early game, their laning phase has looked pretty sloppy.
Yeah, a little risky. Auzrik on the left-hand side, looking to put a bit of pressure on, looking for a gank, but he did step in a ward, and Mr. White doing a very good job here of making sure that Auzrik feels interested in trying to hang around and look for the pick. He knows he's got the blink, so he's going to stay at a decent enough range. As soon as he walks away, Mr. White goes back to pressure in the lane, as does Elevate on the left.
I want to see Elevate group up and just force siege
Did Davey
that
not see
left-hand
that?
tower.
Oh, Davey did not see the man with a million fists, and he's going to have to pull out the horse to get back to safety. That will make sure the purple buff goes the way of Elevate.
And now Elevate can definitely take this T2 tower. Davey's going to be forced to back. He couldn't stick around without that mounted archery because then he's just free for a DoctorL to commit to.
Great call from Elevate. They're going to put 2 in the duo lane to make sure they take the tier 2 tower. DoctorL hangs in the jungle for any rotations. And worst case scenario, you still got a Giannis in mid that can go, okay, me and Sobek are on the way if we're needed. Now, where's the focus going to be? More than likely, mid lane, Elevate starting to group up.
A very deep ward, though, that Crimson, or excuse me, that DoctorL just placed. Because everybody from Elevate wants to rotate towards mid. The group siege stage has only just begun for Elevate.
Good plug, going to get the beads out of Waldrom. Very nicely timed beads there. Chronic goes to the back line to get an ultimate off to slow them down. Apple connects, that could spread. In goes DoctorL, though, looking at Chronic. DoctorL's a little bit too deep. Killy can't get the kill on his own, thanks to the overhead kick. But Auzrik on the back has found Mr. White. The rest of the team weren't looking. 3 tanks did not support the back line. And Auzrik makes sure he takes down the carry.
But everybody had to run from Fable. They were so concerned about the damage potential from Elevate that they weren't able to fully follow up against Auzrik. Now they're going to look for more on Nexamiss, but even still, they might just get the T1 tower and that's it.
Tier 1 tower will go down. So it's a tier 1 for a tier 1. Ignore what happened in the dual line for a second because Elevate's still in the lead. But tier 2 being looked at now. All 5 members of Fable here. Elevate limping back to get involved, and Nexamiss just got evaporated. Not by choice whatsoever. Tier 2 falls, and FableGG, they're fighting back in.
This is good for Fable. They need to keep it going. Gold Fury due to respawn in about a minute here. They can find this T1 in the left-hand side, alleviate some of that map pressure that Elevate is kind of put into duo by stripping away the T1 and T2.
Wow, would you look at that? Look at that goal difference now, Taco. It's just been halved yet again. Fable, they're here to play.
Making the plays that count, but same could be said for Elevate. IAmTheHamster already pulling the Fire Giant, and everyone else immediately responding. Mr. White didn't even bother flying to the other side of the map. He went straight to fire.
I think Auzrik has recognized this is going on, but I don't think he's going to be able to get there in time. No, he's going on an adventure for buffs, potentially. He's going to find out the Fire Giant's dead and immediately turns around, finds Crimson. Crimson gets kissed, Deathbane as well, but an unstable vortex to the head of the Circuit will force her away. Space and Time Fire, they're giving chase. Great taunt out from Killy, but it's not going to be enough. Now Elevate can start to charge down the rest of the team, and Mr. White is going to give them the chase potential.
Circuit might have mobility, but no one can outrun the Giannis if they want to find you. And sure enough, Crimson going to take out Auzrik, and that's going to be a huge boon for Elevate, because now they don't have to worry about the last breath from the Circuit.
But what a great Fire Giant play. That went out so well for them. Now Elevate can get a tier 2 tower. Like you said, they killed Auzrik, so they're going to swing around to the right and look for the final tier 2 tower here.
And the potential, it's so there for Fable. They have the capability, I think, to mold themselves into a more experienced and like better team. They're just one step short every single time, because even though they got so much accomplished in that mid lane siege of the T1, and they take the T1 in the left-hand side as well, but they completely forget about the Fire Giant. You can't all back at the exact same time. They don't have the same sort of mobile or global mobility, I should say, as Elevate.
Well, Elevate, after the Fire Giant, going to get the Gold Fury, all the towers down except the one on the right-hand side for FableGG to defend. The gold lead just increased again after all the hard work. You can see by the graph that FableGG fought back in hard, but one misplay of all backing and nobody covering the Fire Giant has cost them dearly at this moment in time.
And it's an easy thing to overlook, because you just want to back and spend that gold as soon as possible, but somebody has to stick around to make sure that that exact situation doesn't happen.
I mean, best thing is have a ward, but realistically, you've not really got anyone on the team that can get there that quick. Maybe a teleport out ChronicTheBros. Awkward situation now for FableGG. They are on defense, and to be fair, their defensive capabilities are relatively strong, especially with an Athena. Can be very useful for themselves. Obviously, ChronicTheBros has a blink too, so his initiation could be there. But Auzrik was a little bit far forward there. We'll get away with a bit of murder. Had a Magi's Cloak just in case anyway, so I wouldn't have to use the beads, which are currently on cooldown. Elevate, take the last tier 2 tower, and it's Phoenix time, boys and girls.
It's Phoenix time, and ChronicTheBros looking to establish the front line alongside of Killy. But poor Killy sitting at level 13. That has gotta hurt during these base defenses.
I will say, looking at FableGG, the unexpected decent team here. They're the ones that everyone's going to be like, okay, maybe they're the whipping boys of this tournament, but I think that dual lane's got something to watch out for. Auzrik too. ChronicTheBros, Waldrom. Need to see more from them overall. I want to see ChronicTheBros just make a commitment to a carry and just go, I am going to end your life. And if I don't end it, you're going to at least not be involved in the fight. Because I feel he's getting a little bit sidetracked most of the time and trying to support his team and set up initiation.
I think that's the problem, though, is that as a Kakolan, who do you chase down and try to force out of the fight? Because if you look for Mr. White, he's just going to dash away. He's got the agility. He's got the airstrike. There's just so much survivability for Elevate.
Going to get a big old ult, and Killy's going to say goodnight, sweet prince. Chronic going to get put back into the team. Apple from Waldrom going to get blocked by Nexamiss, who does a good job of splitting away from his team. Auzrik in the backside tried to find a carry, and instead he got a fist into his face. And DoctorL going to get a kill. They're running down for more kills. This could be game end here, Taco.
There's already 3 picks, and they're dead for so long. Fortunately enough, Davey going to manage to stay alive inside of the fountain, as DoctorL will get forced back. But the right-hand Phoenix already fell. There's a wave pushing in also for Elevate.
Yeah, keep an eye on Davey as well. Davey does have his mounted archery available, and that's a danger factor that Elevate have to respect, because one horsey, there could be trouble. DoctorL goes in on Davey, but Davey tries to use the Ijutsu, knocked up, gets on the mounted archery, fires the shot in Nexamiss. It's not enough to get a kill, but he will be able to secure it. Mid-Phoenix goes down. Elevate now have to run as the respawns are going to start coming through.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't, though, for Fable in that situation, because they lose the mid-Phoenix, but save the life of their hunter. If Killy doesn't ult Davey in that instant, then Davey just dies, and probably the mid-Phoenix too anyway.
Yeah, so middle Phoenix down, and now FableGG have to work out what to do next. The speed is up. It's a tough task to get back into this one. It's only a best of 3 tackle, but it's doable. We've seen it done before.
It is doable with 2 Phoenix already being eliminated. Now there's also the constant threat of the drop ship potential from Elevate.
I don't think we'll see one of those for a while. Would you ever do a dropship against a team with a Discordia?
Nope.
I know a team that would. I know a team that would.
I can think of a few people that would.
Oh yeah, 5 of them.
At least 5.
To be in fact. From Europe as well, would you believe? Crimson However, going to get his beads burnt in that mid lane. Has to use his portal defensively, but it's not doom and gloom. I like the fact FableGG came out of base, though, and looked for a cheeky pick. Because a lot of teams, you know, when they've got that lead, they kind of just roam the jungle freely, thinking they're fully overconfident. You find a pick, it can slow them down for a moment. But this Fire Giant, FableGG are here to contest. This could be the last stand of a team that need to find a win here.
I'm not opposed to this. It's either you take your last stand here, or you look to try and shove Elevate off of your Titan room, and I think the Titan room's a much harder fight to maintain.
Kelly being focused, ChronicTheBros in the back looking for a target, but the real target really is Waldrom, who's surrounded by multiple members of Elevate. Lurking the Waters will get the kill thanks to Nexamiss. Mr. White takes down Killy. That's 2 tanks dead of the front line. ChronicTheBros can only really fly through the air and watch. Gets his element off, but already 3 members are dead. This is going to be number 4 momentarily, and Davey against the whole army of Elevate.
IAmTheHamster, though, isn't going to be able to connect with the stun on the Cerberus. It doesn't matter, however, because DoctorL blinks in front of Davey anyway. A full-on deicide has just occurred as Elevate take this set with a clean 2-0 finish.
And they will take this set, but it doesn't mean that FableGG are out of the tournament. We are running double elimination this weekend for Console 2. And that means we're going to get an opportunity to see if FableGG can fight their way back up to the finals. Congratulations to Elevate, though. They won't be fully happy with their performance, though, Taco.
And they can't be happy about their early game, because I think that both times around, there were definitely some mistakes that Elevate let slip through the cracks, and I think that those are the same kind of plays you can't really afford to make against the more experienced teams like Astral Authority, like Rival even, and so they do need to be very cautious of that. However, their team fighting was awesome.
Now, FableGG, obviously a young group of lads from the UK, as you can see by their tags. They've done well for themselves to get this far. Good opening first 15 minutes from them both games, but they've got to work on that mid game. They've got to work on these team fights just a little bit more. Now, that's their next growing step for these boys.
I don't think we've seen everything, though, from Fable
Probably
just
not.
yet. I mean, it's a little bit rough with when you get 2-0'd at the very debut set here for the console LAN, but I still think that this is a team that has shown some very clear progression since the online split.
Who do you guys think was MVP in that set for Elevate? Obviously, they won, so they get the MVP vote. Where are you feeling?
I think that I would have to probably give the MVP to DoctorL there.
I was thinking so too. DoctorL on the Robin had a good game, but it's not up to me for the MVP. It's up to you guys. And with that, we'll throw it to the desk.
Thanks again there, Hindu Man and Taco. Fintotoli here on the desk as Elevate were able to do it. They pull out the 2-0, so we will be seeing them advance onward within the bracket. But totally, yet again, Fable look good to start the game off and then can't keep it going through the mid to late.
It's just the competitive aspect from Elevate. They have all these high-tier players they kind of picked and chose at their leisure for Season 5, putting them at the top of the top. Beating out Astral to get here is a very impressive feat. So the fact that they're coming in here, taking out a team that doesn't really have a much LAN experience as opposed to Elevate that has a lot of LAN experience is no surprise to me. But this is still not the end for Fable. They're still the lower bracket. Fable can take what they learned today from this set and apply it tomorrow and try to bounce back.
Yeah, and I feel like the big thing that's missing there from Fable is just decision-making. In Game 1, it was going for the Portal Demon, and they couldn't defend the gold tree on the other side of the map correctly. And then we saw something very similar in Game 2. They win a big fight, and then they kind of show everyone in the duo lane, and that's when Elevate just go take the Fire Giant. And like they kind of just had control of the map after that.
Similar to Game 1, it was Fable getting the first blood in the duo lane this time around. It was a great job. Did go to the support, you know, the little back and forth there between Taco and Hindo. It doesn't really matter because shutting down the enemy duo lane is the high priority, making sure that you transition better in the mid game. And that's where Fable kind of staggered a little bit. They couldn't really get that early game first blood momentum into the mid game. Elevate was able to just control the pacing a little bit more with DoctorL in the jungle.
And DoctorL is going to be the one that you all selected in Mixer Chat as your MVP. So once again, thank you all for voting. And he looked so strong on this Robin pick. He's looked great for them all set long, and it's not too big of a surprise. He really is one of the stars of this team in the jungle world for them. With jungle being important, Elevate are going to continue to be scary.
You can't ever ban him out. You know, you don't know the direction he's going to go. Specifically, avoiding the Circuit pick so that he can get the more defensive Robin that can still dive the backline. And there was a lot of pressure here from this double Guardian. The Cerberus making a lot of annoying plays there with that ghastly breath, really catching Davey specifically out of position multiple times.
Able to punish him. It was just surprising considering Davey and Killy actually got up to a good start in this game for Fable in the duo lane. In particular, Killy was able to get the first kill in duo lane, secure, whatever you want to call that one, and then able to make the rotation over to solo lane as well, help them get a good kill. So Fable certainly are showing, I think, like Taco mentioned, the flashes of brilliance. They've got it right there. They've got to make sure the decision making in the mid game is there as well.
There was that one team fight around 9.5 minutes where all of Elevate was kind of surrounding the duo lane. They get an early pick onto Davey, then they find out Auzrik as well, and that's where things started to stagger a little bit. And more importantly, outside of that, was 12 minutes later when it was basically a free fire giant, and Auzrik was all the way across the globe, couldn't even get there in time.
Even on Circuit, huh?
Yeah.
Who covers distance pretty well.
That's true.
And still couldn't make it all the way over to the fire giant. But I mean, that's what I was saying about the decision making, is that they had control of the map. And if you want to send some people to duo to push up the wave, fine. You can't show everyone on the minion waves. You can't have everyone else back. You know, you got to have some kind of awareness of what could be happening on the fire giant there. And I think that'll just come as they get a little bit more experience as that team moves on.
Despite how much mobility Athena has with the global pressure, Giannis has that much more for not only himself, but his teammates. So that was the idea that Elevate had. They recognized how powerful it was for Fable in Game 1. They wanted it for themselves in Game 2 to close out the set.
We actually do have the interview waiting here for you all. It is going to be Elevate, and we're going to get to hear their thoughts from after they were able to get their victory just now here up against Fable.
Elevate, first of all, thank you. Congratulations. Thank you for joining us for here. Obviously, we're joined by Crimson and Nexamiss as well. You guys today, performance against Fable, you just played them in the 2-0. First of all, Tommy, how are you feeling? Was it expected result?
Yes, sir.
All right, so, I mean, yeah, it was an expected result. We just kind of, as Game 1, we picked Camazotz because it's not a troll pick, by the way. We just wanted to play whatever just so Astral or Rival don't know actually what we want to play. So it's kind of like do whatever game just because we kind of figured we'd win. Trying not to be cocky going into it, but yeah.
Have you already been, it seemed as though you guys were a little bit caught off guard by what they were able to accomplish in the early game. So what exactly is going through your minds when you start seeing all of those picks happen and the goal disparity starting to build up?
Right, so the first picks on red, I actually, like, if that was against Astral or Rival, I would actually be terrified, but there was like no doubt in my mind that we were gonna lose those games, so I was just kind of playing the game, laughing, having fun.
So I want to specifically bring up Game 2. Who did the fire giant call? Who's your shot caller first of all, and then second of all, who did the call?
DoctorL and Hamster.
Because I feel like that was really won you that game. In fairness, you were in a bit of trouble at that point. Tell me a little bit about that.
Hamster was just walking to fire giant. Oscar was just about to respawn, and he noticed that they were all on the right side of the map, so he just like go for it.
Sometimes you just gotta gung-ho it down the lane and try and secure those objectives.
They're all pretty low.
And Nexamiss, actually, your Odin performance in Game 1 was some really impressive stuff. I think that you had a ton of control going on. So were you actively calling out to your team, I'm going to cut these guys off at the cage right now, and things like that?
So I guess the final question to really give you guys overall is, what are your expectations for the rest of the tournament? What are you going to look to improve in this tournament when you go against tougher opposition? So
obviously, as you stated, our early game, we need to work on that, fix that. We had to be more vocal because we didn't know the Fafnir was coming over to red, and then we lost that. But Astral Rival, I'm expecting Astral to easily win, but we're going to pay close attention to how each team picks and bans, how they play early game, and just counter off of what they do.
Any surprise picks we could look forward to?
No.
Boring. Thank you so much, boys. Congratulations, first of all, on your win. We'll see you later on this tournament.
Okay.